Pain heals. Chicks dig scars. Glory lasts forever.
Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Shout out to the 19. Appreciate all of you who showed up to the live premiere yesterday of the weekly longer form podcast episode on CC Sunday. Uh, Something new I thought I would try, something I saw from a content creator in music that has been doing it for a long time. Thought it would be interesting. It seemed to work out pretty good. Had roughly a little over 100 people show up and watch live. For those who don't know what it is, when I set it to a premiere, it's just like it's live, except I'm participating with you in the chat. It's a recorded video, but the chat is there and all of that. So just wanted to say a quick thank you to all of you before we hit the breaking news. Yes, as you can see, the Indiana Fever have made a roster move with the injuries and the hardship, with Sophie Cunningham out with her ankle and Sydney Colson out with her knee, and Caitlin Clark, we know, out with her leg strain. And I'm not sure. Demiris Dantas is not out, but she did not practice yesterday. And from everything I can see, we're talking about maybe it's just possible soreness, from coming back from her having sat. So I'm not sure who all is going to be available for this game. I'm going to assume it's just Caitlin, Sophie, and Sydney that are out, and Aari McDonald will be available for the Indiana Fever. Real quick, in terms of the cap space hit, because this does happen. Looking into it, from what I've seen, it's going to be a hit against the cap of roughly like a little under $500 a day, I think. So not that much, because a hardship not going to be around too long. So it's not going to impact the Fever signing a 12th player in terms of when they can. It's not going to push it back all that far. So eventually, hopefully, they have 12 players on the roster. Although Jaylen Brown, I believe it was the Mercury. I'm just, this is just off the top of my head because I wasn't looking for it, but I believe I just saw something, and just keeping up on everything for all of you, that Jaylen Brown has signed with the Phoenix Mercury, so she wouldn't be an option. How do I feel about this? Great question. Great question. For those of you that don't know who Aari McDonald is, I think we have a little bit here too to talk about, but I also want to show you another clip if the name hasn't connected quite yet. But as you can see here, Indiana Fever have announced the signing of guard Aari McDonald. I had it correct. I know that's what I heard. It's been a while since I heard her name, and I was going to say Ari, like straight Ari, but it is Aari. Thank you. Maybe it's the double A that got me. McDonald via emergency hardship exception. The WNBA emergency hardship exception allows any team to sign a player with immediate effect if a team drops below 10 game eligible players at any time. The Fever were down to 8. Over the course of her 4-year WNBA career, McDonald averaged 8.6 points per game, 2.8 assists, and 2 rebounds per game. She was with the Los Angeles Sparks last year. She averaged 8.7 points a game. She appeared in 26 games. She was actually drafted number 3 overall back in 2021. She was then waived and obviously cut this year and not playing anywhere. And that is why they were able to pick her up. Now, you may remember, if I have it, I think I have it here. You may remember Aari McDonald, because this is Aari McDonald, who is so, I don't want to say obsessed, because look, I clowned on her a little bit, but for this, it was good natured. I mean, she was just really obviously into how important her assignment was in terms of face guarding Caitlin Clark every single place she went on the court, and she wanted to get to that assignment. So yeah, I clowned it a little bit because it is funny, right? You've got 2 free throws, and you're so focused on who you need to be guarding that you forget you have a 6-second free throw and you jump in her face. But on the other hand, hey man, she knew her assignment, she understood her assignment, and she was enthusiastic about getting to it for sure. Um, would I have rather seen, and look, I will say this a couple things, because like people say, well, we don't know who they asked first. We don't know if there were players that didn't want to sign, because there are other players out there like Sundell, but Grace Berger is available. Celeste Taylor is available. And why do I bring them up? I know some people say, like, well, Grace got But by Minnesota, yeah, she did. But Minnesota is one of the best, deepest teams in the league. And I think we all know by now the WNBA and scouting and new players and all that, it is a bit of a joke of a league in terms of the whether they bring in the right talent and the best talent and all of that. And again, a big thing for me with Celeste a little bit as well, being here last year for a little bit, is Grace Berger is a very, very good look. I'm not saying Grace Berger is a star, but when you're talking about what they need to do, Grace Berger is a very, very, she's not flashy, but she is a fundamentally sound, smart point guard who can run an offense, who can handle the ball, who's not going to turn over a lot, who's not going to make a lot of big mistakes. She can defend. And she obviously is familiar with the core of this team, which, by the way, it's the core of the team that remain. That is why this team is even competing with anybody, right? It's Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell and Lexi Hull and to a lesser extent Demiris Dantas because she hasn't really played a whole lot, but those are the players that are the ones that are producing the most. And so I just think, and look, and I think this was a signal to a lot of people who were talking about, say, Grace Berger and to a lesser extent Celeste Taylor, when Steph White actually came out and said, I don't know that we need to bring in anyone with any type of experience or connection with the system. So to me, that was a signal they weren't even going to try and get Grace Berger. But I can't. Look, I'm not going to sit here and trash Aries. She was a solid guard, right? If we go look at some numbers, I mean, she's not a great. She can shoot, but she's not a great shooter. I will say that 40%. But you know, her effective field goal percentage is under 50, which is not exactly great for a point guard, but she never really played a lot, right? I mean, a little more than half a game, basically. So, 8.6 points, 2.8 assists, a couple rebounds in, a little over half a game is they're solid numbers for your point guard. The biggest concern I would probably say that I have with Aari McDonald, when you look at the fever, what is one thing we've talked about? Now, for me, it's not the biggest deal overall for the team if they're playing the way they should play, which we have not seen with their offense, if they're running people into the ground. But we all know that they have a little bit of a size issue, a little bit of a height issue. Now, Aari McDonald is 5'6", folks. And in and of itself, no big deal. But again, not a big team. And by the way, your shooting guard, Kelsey Mitchell, is only 5'8". So now your backcourt is 5'6" and 5'8". And that could be a problem defensively at least, but also a little bit offensively. I've talked about that with Kelsey Mitchell's passes and stuff in the past. But I don't hate it. Would I have liked to have seen Grace Berger if she would even come back after what happened? But I think Grace would have been like, yeah, hey, I'm there, and give her a chance to show what she can do, and maybe latch on with another team when the hardship is over. But is it absolutely terrible? No, I think Ari's going to come in and bring energy to the team. I think we saw that here, right? I think she's definitely going to come in and bring some energy to the team, which is important. Again, the biggest thing I would have was the excuse that people make about, these players need time to gel. It's funny that we haven't seen that with the Washington Mystics, or we haven't seen that with the Golden State Valkyries, or a lot of other teams that have made a lot of changes. The Phoenix Mercury, there was a lot of changeover in the WNBA, but it seems like only the Fever need to be given the excuse of, well, we have to give them time to gel. Uh, but the size thing does concern me a little bit when you figure out the Fever, not just her. Like if we were not an undersized team and you bring her in, okay. If Kelsey Mitchell was 6'2", okay. But that might be a little tougher with that backcourt. But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. As always, appreciate you checking out these videos so much. It means the world to me. Smash the like button. That's all you have to do. Smash the like button, subscribe. That helps out tremendously. Comment below. It makes such a huge difference. And yeah, I'll leave it there. Go have the day you deserve, and I will talk to you later.